So come along with me and I'm going to show you what we got going on around here. I'm going to show you the gardens, the fruit trees, the chickens, all of it. You guys, so I'm super excited to do this video because I know that a lot of y'all are super caught up in what's happening in the world right now with all of this COVID stuff being out of stock, people freaking out about meat shortages, and just so many crazy things. And so I want to just kind of preface this video by telling you guys, like, we are literally such spoiled Americans. It has gotten so bad that I literally listen to people all the time, like, chewing out the phone company because their phone is not fast enough. Do you not realize that you literally have a miracle in your hand? I'm talking to some of you people that are thousands and thousands of miles away that I'm able to reach because of this phone that sometimes, yes, it acts a fool and it acts crazy and it doesn't do what I want it to do and it cuts me off, and my Wi-Fi where we live is terrible. But just the fact that I can reach people that are that far away in an instant is incredible. That is such a blessing, and so many people don't have that. Same thing with the power company. I hear people chewing out their power company, and they're like, you know, oh my gosh, like, my power bill is $2 over budget or whatever, or $2 high. It's so ridiculous. Do you not realize that you have a switch that you can literally flip up and the lights come on? How incredible is that? And so I think in today's day and age, what it really boils down to is that we are spoiled Americans. We think that everything is just supposed to be easy. Nobody wants to take the hard way anymore. And we've really lost a lot of the characteristics and the wisdom that came along with the older generation. And so for me and for Jake and our kids, our family, like, we want to really preserve that. And so that's a big thing that we really put at the forefront of our lives, is teaching our kids how to do stuff. Like, we want to learn how to be self-sufficient. We want to teach ourselves how to do stuff, because at the end of the day, if you're not prepared, it's your own fault and nobody's coming to save you. Now listen, I want to tell y'all, I've been saying this for years. I have been telling y'all, get prepared, you know, get your stuff ready. There's going to be something that comes up. Now, who would have guessed that it would have been the Rona, right? Like, not me. Probably not you. Nobody really thought there was going to be like a pandemic. Nobody thought that the whole world was going to shut down and all of this stuff. But what we do know is that there's always going to be something. There's always going to be something that's going to come up that's going to throw you for a loop. And it's your job to be prepared and to be ready for that whenever that thing might come up. And so that's my job as an influencer with the platform that God has blessed me with to be able to share with so many people, is to help get the word out about this and help people get prepared, because I don't want to see you struggle. I don't want to see my family struggle, and I don't want to see your family struggle either. So I want to be there to be that support system to help show you what we've learned over the years. And look, you know, you can take it or leave it. If you're one of those people that thinks I'm like a crazy conspiracy theorist, just get on off my page if you're not interested. I'm not looking for negative comments. I don't want to be sitting here listening to a bunch of people telling me, well, you're the reason for the shortage and blah, blah, blah. Because let me tell you, if that's you, I was not the one that was running out to buy toilet paper and paper towels and extra food, because we already had that stuff, because I've been teaching this for like forever, like for a really, really long time. Okay. So don't even start that with me. If you're not interested, that's okay. But this is for those of you guys that know that there's something going on. You see it. You got your eyes open. You're not blinded by, you know, the news media. You see that something is going on, and you're just trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Like, why has the world gone so crazy? What do I do about it? How can I get myself prepared? Maybe you live in the city and you're like super nervous because you can't get out. You just either financially can't afford it, or, you know, maybe it's just that, you know, your job is there or whatever, and you want to figure out a way that you can still get prepared. Whatever it is, I think this video is really going to help you, and just share a few different ways that you can prepare for your family, so that when the second wave comes, because it's coming, second wave is coming. I told you guys all of this stuff for a really long time, and so many people didn't believe me. They said I was crazy. I was the reason people were buying up all the toilet paper. But when you have that stuff on hand, it is such a peace of mind. And not only is it a peace of mind, but it's, you guys, it's protection against inflation, because the prices of all of this stuff, if you have been to the grocery store, hello, if you've been to the grocery store, meat is going through the roof. All of this stuff is inflating in price because supply and demand. That's how it works, right? Like when there's more of a demand for stuff, the price is going to go up, and you're having to pay for that. But if you go ahead and get that stuff before the price goes up and you're prepared, it's also kind of a hedge against inflation. So it's really, really cool to just know that you feel safe and that you feel secure at least a little bit, so that, and you guys, it's not that you have to go out and hoard like everything for like the rest of your life, but just be prepared for at least, you know, 6 months to a year minimum. If you don't, it's irresponsible. So my job is not to sit here and, you know, chew on you guys and tell you like, I told you so, you know, you should have listened, which you should have listened. But at the end of the day, that part is done. Okay. So if you didn't listen the first time around, that's okay. I'm not here to chew you out. I'm here to help you. I want to show you how you can listen this time around, so that next time you can be prepared and you don't get left thinking, oh crap, like I don't know what to do. So I really just want to share a list of things that a lot of times people don't really think about, as far as like, you know, how to prepare for their family, where to start in all of this, and just how to get ready for what's next. Because like I said, you guys, there is a second wave coming. There is a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that I won't even get into, because some of this stuff, if I, you know, get out there and make it public, they will literally ban this video from Facebook. I get censored all the time. I have people in my inbox 24/7 like, Becky, I don't even see your posts anymore. Like, I literally have to go to your page. I have people that check my Facebook profile like a news channel, because they don't see my stuff in their news feed anymore. So they're coming to my page and just checking from there, because Facebook censors me. So I don't want that to happen with this video. I want it to get shared far and wide, so that we can help people to get prepared, so that they're not left thinking, oh crap, whenever the next wave comes. So here goes. Okay, so one of the most important things that you can have in a survival situation, or you guys, like, let's be real, it might not be any kind of like a zombie apocalypse. I don't know. You don't know. Nobody really knows except for God, right? But in the event that something like that happens and you are left without being able to go to the store at all, or you are left without power for whatever reason, it could even be something as simple as a storm. What's the number one thing that you need to survive? It's water, right? So you need to have some kind of a water source, so that you can get clean, fresh water for you to drink, for you to wash clothes, for you to do whatever you need to do with water, flush toilets even. So a couple of really good ideas, because I know a lot of people think that they just literally have to have like mountains and mountains of bottled water, and you actually don't have to do that, right? Like, that's just a lot of plastic. It's a lot of waste. It's a really good idea for you to have right much bottled water on hand, but you don't need to sit there and like hoard the whole grocery store of bottled water. Okay. What you need is, if you have a well, it's a really good idea to get a well pump. So actually, I will take a picture of our well pump and I'll post it up here so that you guys can see it. It's really, really cool. It actually just allows you to pump water up from the ground even when the power is out. So you can do something like that, but a lot of you guys are probably in the city and maybe you're on city water and you don't have a well. So if you don't have a well, the other thing that you can do is just get you a really good water filter. And you guys, I'm going to go ahead and just put links for a lot of the stuff that we use in this post so that you can just go straight to it. You don't have to like take a whole bunch of notes and write stuff down. I'm just going to go ahead and put those links for the things that, that I'm kind of referring to as far as a specific product. I'll go ahead and put that in the post so that you can have that, so you can go get it. And listen, I'm not like selling water pumps over here. I'm not selling water filters over here. I'm just telling you guys what I use, what works for me. If you want to use it, great. If not, you can totally get it from somewhere else. So the water pump is a really good idea. Water filters, you can get like little water straws to where if you have a stream close by or anything like that, it can literally filter your water so that you have drinking water. So water is a huge thing. I would definitely make sure that you do have some bottled water on hand. We love Fiji water. It's like so awesome, you guys. I'm such a water snob. I love well water and I love Fiji water. And if I can't get well or Fiji water, then I will use spring water, but I don't like any of that like Aquafina, Dasani stuff. I know Fiji's a little bit expensive, but you can also use that as a heavy metal detox, which is super cool because a lot of you guys that have followed me for a while, maybe you know about like the effects of vaccines and the stuff that they're spraying in the air and all of that stuff. We're exposed to so many heavy metals all the time that Fiji water actually has something called silica in it, which helps to detox your body from the heavy metals, which is awesome. So I love that. But get yourself, you know, just a stockpile of bottled water. It doesn't have to be a ton, but I mean, listen, you guys, again, this is not just for coronavirus. This is like if your power goes out. If you have some kind of a situation where, you know, you don't have a paycheck for a while and you need these things, this is something that's always good to have on hand. It's never going to hurt you. It's only going to help you be prepared so that you don't get yourself stuck in a really sticky situation. So water is the number one thing. Okay, so number two is going to be food. So we already talked about water. So food is obviously something that goes hand in hand with water. You need it to survive. And a lot of it, like right now, especially you guys, they're having so many shortages of different kinds of foods. And I will go ahead and say also that you have not even felt the effects of coronavirus yet. Some of you guys, like you have had, you know, horrible things happen to you. You've lost your job. You've lost, you know, family incomes. You've, you know, had some kind of health issues and stuff like that, but you have not felt the end of the coronavirus yet. This is going to be an ongoing thing that is going to last for a pretty decent little while. And so what happens is you shut everything down for a short period of time and everybody thinks, okay, everything's just going to go back to normal. Give us 2 weeks. We're going to go back to normal. Well, what they don't account for is that when production stops, the supply stops, but the demand doesn't go away. The demand is going to continue to grow because people are freaking out about COVID-19, right? So the thing that's crazy to me is we actually went to buy a freezer the other day because our chest freezer in our basement went out. We had the appliance guy come out and take a look at it. He said, it's not worth fixing. It's going to be really expensive to fix. So we thought, okay, well, we'll just toss this one and we'll buy a brand new one because they're only like, what, $600 or something. So I thought, okay, we'll just buy a brand new one because the one we had was fairly old. So we went ahead and took it to the scrapyard. And you guys, big mistake. Like I would not have taken that to the scrapyard if I would have known that I couldn't get another freezer. But even though a lot of plants are back up and running now and they're producing, you know, appliances and stuff like that, that shutdown is just now causing the effects of me not being able to get a freezer because all that stuff is out of stock because they've sold everything off the shelves. It goes hand in hand with everything else. There's a meat shortage. People freak out because there's a meat shortage. So they go and buy up all the meat. They buy up all the meat. Well, they need somewhere to put the meat, right? So they go out and they buy chest freezers. And so this is where all of this starts. So I want you guys to understand that there is probably going to continue to be shortages of certain kinds of food. Now, there's a lot of stuff that's back on the shelves. There's a lot of stuff that, you know, is coming back pretty quickly, but also there is, like I said, going to be a second wave. This is not going to go away. This is going to be something that continues. And while I feel like they're overreacting like crazy to this whole thing, I mean, you guys know how I feel about it, but it's going to continue. And whether or not you believe that it's a huge deal or not, you're going to be affected by it. So you might as well be prepared. So food is a huge thing. So one thing that I have seen from a lot of farmers, you guys, we live in the middle of the Ozark Mountains. You can probably see my backdrop back behind me, but you know, we have a lot of farmers around here. There's a lot of cows. Like, that's literally all there is around here is like cows, 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 cows. Like, there's cows everywhere. So one thing that I've noticed is that the meat shortage is so crazy to me, because there's not an actual meat shortage, but they're being forced to euthanize and throw out animals, while meanwhile stuff is being imported from other countries and it's being labeled as produced in the USA. But what you guys don't realize is that the labels a lot of times are super misleading on things like meat and even everything else. Like, you could go out to the store and you could see a package that says organic, but just because it's organic doesn't mean that it's healthy. Or just because it's, you know, non-GMO doesn't mean that it's healthy. And so you have to really pay attention to that stuff. But when it comes to meat, especially, you're not getting what you think you're getting most of the time. So my biggest suggestion would be to team up with a local farmer. Find somebody that's local to you. Support your local economy as much as you possibly can right now, because I know, you guys, I know it's hard. I know that it's really hard to, you know, not be able to just go to the big box stores and, you know, go get everything that you need from Amazon, but try your best to support your local people, because they really need you right now to keep afloat and to keep the economy running. And you definitely don't want to get to a place where you can't buy meat from the USA because all these farmers go out of business because of COVID-19, right? So find a farmer, and, you know, typically what they'll do, my dad's a farmer, I see this all the time. He'll get a cow, he'll take it to the butcher, he will split it up into quarters, and he'll sell like a quarter or a half of a cow. And then you have all this meat that's going to last you forever. You typically get a better deal and way better quality meat, regardless of the price or not. And that's going to last your family for a really good while. So the meat shortage, like I said, it's going to be an ongoing thing. But if you can get a freezer anywhere, I would suggest you get one. You're probably not going to be able to find one, because we actually just had to order one, and we're having it delivered the end of September at the earliest, I think they said. But if you can find one, grab one. If you can't, if you have one, get you some meat and just put in your freezer. Some other things, you guys, that we'll go into some more like other little side topics of this in a little bit, but some things that are really, really easy for you to store for food storage that are actually pretty cheap too are things like rice, beans, honey, oats, oatmeal. Like, you can get stuff like this that will last forever. Even pasta. You can get so many things that will literally have years and years of shelf life. And what you can do is you can go to your local store. I'm not guaranteeing you guys that they will have any of these in stock, because people have gone off the hook because they didn't listen before. But go to your local grocery store where they have a bakery. Go to the bakery counter and ask them for some food grade buckets. Now, some of the stores will just give them to you. Other stores, they might charge you a little bit. I know we got some from our local grocery store not long ago, and they charged us like $2 a bucket or something, which was not bad. But ask them for some food grade buckets. They typically get them in when they have like icing and stuff like that. You're going to want to wash them out, but just get you a big stockpile of dried beans, dried rice, oats, things like that. And you can just buy these little silica packets, which also I'll link those on this video so that you can find them. You can get them on Amazon. You can get whatever kind you want, but they're just called little silica packets, and they're the little white packets that come in like a bag of beef jerky or something like that, which, by the way, beef jerky is the bomb for prepping, so you can get some of that too. Beef jerky, canned meat, canned tuna is amazing. But get you some of those little silica packs, throw them in the buckets, and then just put the lids on really tight. They've got a seal. You guys, this stuff will last forever. Like, it will last you for such a long time. So you want to go in there and get some stuff like that. You can get honey that lasts forever. There's so many different things. Canned goods. Get you some soup and stuff like that. This is going to be really important because, you know, I used to always look at that like, yeah, but like all the stuff that I'm putting in these buckets is stuff that I shouldn't be eating a ton of anyway. You guys, I get it. You want to eat lots of fruits and vegetables, right? But if it comes down to a survival situation where you can't get food in the store, you're going to be really glad that you had some rice and beans. That's something that's cheap, that's easy to put in a stockpile. You can just put them in 5-gallon buckets. It will last you forever. They are super shelf stable. I would highly suggest putting them somewhere that is kind of a cool area. So like we like to keep stuff like that in our basement because it's kind of climate controlled, but wherever you put it, just try not to put it in the sun and the heat and stuff like that. I mean, it's just common sense stuff. But food is a really big one. So make sure that you have plenty of snack food. You could even get things like, as much as this makes me cringe, like Cheez-Its, chips, stuff like that, that's going to last a while. I know it's like so not good for your health, but it's not bad to have some of that stuff on hand in case you need it. And I almost forgot that going back to the food situation, it's a really good idea to have a dehydrator on hand. So this is something that, again, I know a lot of you guys don't have a ton of extra money, and that's okay. You don't have to go out and buy all of this stuff right now, but these are just good ideas, just something for you to think about, something for you to, you know, kind of just make yourself a little note of things that you want to have at some point in the future. And a dehydrator is a really good one because you can actually dehydrate meat and make it last for a really long time. You can make your own jerky. You can dehydrate so much stuff. Also, my boys love to dehydrate marshmallows, and they're like really good. They taste like the little Lucky Charms marshmallows. So dehydrators are always a really good thing to have on hand. So going along with the food is going to be a couple of other things. And number one is going to be seeds and, you know, trees, fruit bushes, stuff like that. And so a lot of you guys, like I said, I know you live in the city and you maybe can't have, you know, all of the same stuff that a lot of people do. Maybe you don't really have a ton of room for a garden, but even if you just put in something as simple as like a little raised bed, this is going to be a really great way for you to grow your own food, which is never a bad idea. I mean, hello, like, people think that, again, people think I'm crazy. And I'm like, since when is it a bad idea to be self-sufficient and grow your own food? Because the food that you can grow on your own is going to be so much healthier for you than the garbage that you buy in the store. I really just don't get why people have that mentality. But get you some seeds. Seeds will last forever. If the boogaloo comes, they're a really good barter item. You guys, like, if the crap hits the fan, like, you're going to want some seeds, okay? So get you some seeds. I'll also link the seed packs that I get in this post so that you'll have that. You can literally just get like a huge box of seeds that will last you for a really long time. I do recommend to people to get the not the hybrid seeds, but the heirloom seeds, because the hybrid seeds, what they've done is they've basically crossed up a bunch of different stuff and made it to where it's like going to be more bug resistant and stuff like that, but also they don't reproduce as well. So you want to get heirloom seeds that are going to continue to reproduce. So for instance, you plant some cantaloupe, you plant heirloom cantaloupe, and you can take the seeds from the heirloom cantaloupe and you can continue to plant and plant and plant every year, and you can continue to get another harvest from those same seeds. So make sure that you get the heirloom seeds. Also, things like fruit trees. That's going to be a really big one. If you live in a place where you have, you know, a little piece of land or a big piece of land or whatever, fruit trees are never a bad idea because you can do things like apples, peaches, pears, oranges, depending on where you live. Just look up some different things that will grow where you live. You can do blackberries, blueberries. We have like the whole works. Like, I'll have to show you guys some pictures and stuff of what we have going on over here, but I just love it because even though you don't get them all year round, there are tons of different ways that you can preserve this stuff, which leads me to the next thing that is super important for you to have. And that, you guys, this is probably the number one thing that is important in any kind of a survival situation or any kind of a like prepping situation, and that's skills. You know, like nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills, computer hacking skills. Skills to be able to do stuff. You have to have the wisdom and the know-how. So we have a lot of books that I will also link for you guys to check out, but we have a lot of books, and I hope you guys can hear me because it's like really windy, but it was too nice to do this inside. So this is what you get. We have a lot of books that teach us things like how to trap, what things that are in our state that are edible and what things that are poison, because obviously you don't want to go around picking stuff and then be like, oh crap, I just ate a poison berry, and then you like choke and die. You don't want that to happen. That would not be good. But you want to be smart about stuff. You want to have skills. So I love watching YouTube videos on different things. So does Jake. We love just, you know, being able to teach that stuff, like I said, to our kids. Like, we love being able to just have that knowledge that we can pass down because so much of this stuff has been lost. So one of the big things in the food category is going to be learning how to can your own food. This is like such a no-brainer. But so many people have no idea how to do this, and it's really important. What happens if you can't go to the store and get this stuff? Nobody knows what's going to happen. So I highly suggest that you teach yourself how to can, how to properly preserve your food. You can make jams, jellies, you can can meat, you can can beans, tomatoes, carrots. Like, there's so many things. You can make your own pickles. You guys know I can a lot during the summer months. So when you're planting your garden, keep that in mind. If you plant a little extra, you can actually can those things and you can preserve them for later. So I highly suggest that if you have a little extra cash on hand, if you're getting some stimulus money or whatever, that you invest in a good pressure canner and also in some jars and lids and stuff. Now, as far as the lids, I'm going to kind of give you guys like everything. I'm just like literally spitting out everything that I feel like I want to say as far as preparing. You can actually get these lids on a website, which I will also link in the description of this video. You can buy them in bulk, because you do need to know that when you're pressure canning, the little lids, the little round lids, you can only use those one time because the seal. So once you've used them once, you want to either just toss them out, or you can just kind of temporarily use them, but they won't seal usually more than once. So I get my canning lids from a bulk website, and I get a really good deal on them. Again, I'm not selling you this stuff. I'm just telling you where I get it, because I want you to be able to get a good deal. So I will share that also in the description so that you can get your bulk canning lids, and you'll have that stuff for whenever you need it. Because you guys, we can so much stuff. Like, even like you guys know, we hunt, right? So like if we get a deer, typically we process our own meat most of the time, unless we get like sausage or anything like that. We typically process our own. So we have like the grinders and the freeze, what do you call it? The little thing where you can get the freezer bags and it like vacuum seals it. I can't remember what you call that thing, but those are great to have. But anyways, we do this stuff all the time, and we will literally can that deer meat, and it stays good for a really long time, and you can make like some amazing barbecue out of it. There's so many different things that you can do with canned food, and it also just gives you that self-sufficiency factor where you don't feel like you have to rely on Walmart to go to get groceries, right? Because it's always nice when you don't have to run to the store, especially for people like me where I'm just like, I'm not wearing a mask. If they tried to make me wear a mask, I'm like, I'm not going. So I've got plenty of stuff to keep myself self-sufficient so that I don't have to worry about that. But skills, you guys, this is so important. Learn how to do stuff. Look, go out and buy some books. This is another really big thing on my list, is books. You never know if, you might not be able to get certain information. For example, and this, some of you guys will agree with me on this and some of you won't, but regardless of what your beliefs are, there are a lot of things that are being censored right now. So vaccines, for instance, there are a lot of really great books on vaccines that you can no longer get on Amazon because they censor the crap out of it and they take them off of there. I don't know about you, but I want to be prepared for that. I would definitely get yourself a Bible for sure if you don't have one, like an actual physical Bible, because we're being attacked right now, right? Like, Christian people are being attacked. And if you don't have a Bible, there's a good chance that it could come down to something where you couldn't get your hands on an actual physical Bible. Educate yourself. Be smart. Teach yourself how to do things. Teach yourself how to hunt. Teach yourself how to fish. Teach yourself how to get out there and survive, and then pass that on to your kids, because that is going to be the most valuable thing that you could leave with your family, is teaching them how to do stuff. So this brings me to the next one. Bullets and guns and stuff like that. You guys, if you are pro Second Amendment, which I really hope that you are, I really hope that you are. If you're pro Second Amendment, make sure that you have some of this stuff on hand. A gun is not any good if you don't have ammo for your gun, right? If you go to the store, like for example, we went to the store to buy some ammo not long back, and guess what? The shelves were clean empty. There was nothing on the shelves, not one single box of ammo. And it's because people were freaking out because the Boogaloo's here, and they're trying to prep up for that. So everybody goes out and buys ammo. You can't get any. You want to make sure you have that stuff on hand. Now listen, not only is this going to be super important for your protection, but again, going back to what we just talked about, food. What if you have to get out there and hunt your own food, Again, we're spoiled brats. Every single one of us are spoiled American brats. That's what we are. And so, you think it's so easy to just go to the store and, buy meat. Well, what happens if the store shuts down? What happens if you can't get out and about and you can't go out and buy meat, and you are forced to have to do some things for yourself? People don't know how to survive. They have no idea how to do this stuff because they were never taught that they needed to. Everything is like microwave. It's in an instant. And it literally drives me crazy. But if you don't have a weapon, then how are you supposed to go out and shoot a deer or an elk or, you know, whatever it is that you're trying to eat for food to sustain yourself, to live? So guns and ammo, you guys, I mean, that's just like a no-brainer. Like if you don't own a firearm, I would highly suggest that you go buy a firearm. If you do, you're going to need ammo to be able to use that firearm. So that's another big one. So next up is going to be cash. Now listen, I catch a lot of flack for this. And again, I'm telling you guys what I feel is like, you guys, this is 100% my opinion on everything. You can take it or leave it, but I'm not going to sit here and argue with people telling me in the comments that I'm the reason why the banking system is crashing. Okay, so don't even come at me with that nonsense. Listen, the banks are going to crash. At some point in time, they're going to crash. They can't last much longer, okay? The reason they can't last much longer is because the Fed, you got Jay Powell over here just with his little money machine printing all of this money. And what happened was, back in the day, I think it was like 1981, Richard Nixon took the dollar off of the gold standard. Now, this is going to be like your little history lesson, I guess, your little school lesson for the day. And I talk to my kids about this all the time because it's very important. So you have all of these different currencies that everybody knows about, right? You have the dollar, the yen, the peso, the yuan, like all these different fiat currencies. That's what it is. It's a fiat currency. It's not money, but it's something that we use in a transaction to buy items, right? So we have the American dollar, and the American dollar just happens to be the most well-known and most sought-after fiat currency in the world. That's why everything runs around and revolves around the U.S. dollar. Well, back in 1981, I think that was the year. Don't like quote me if I'm wrong, but it was sometime around in there. Richard Nixon, whenever he was president, he took it off of the gold standard. And so what that means is that now, instead of having gold backing up the dollar, there's nothing backing it up. They just keep printing more and more and more. So for instance, just recently, Rona pops up. We have this huge pandemic, people out of work like crazy, people losing their jobs, getting furloughed and all this stuff. And so he's just over here printing money like, hey, let's hand out all this stimulus to people, right? So they're handing out people all this free money. This makes me legit crazy. I cannot stand when people tell me that this is free money because you are dead wrong. You are dead wrong. It is not free money. Money comes from somewhere. And so whether or not you're getting free healthcare or free government money or whatever it is, it's not free. Somebody's paying for that. And that is like my biggest pet peeve when it comes to crap like this. It's not free. You know, like even when you have free healthcare, that's not free healthcare because somebody else is paying for your healthcare. When you have free stimulus money, you're going to pay for that over the long term. We're going to pay for that with inflation. We're going to pay for that in a lot of different ways. We're going to pay for that in higher taxes and things like that. Why do you think it is? This is a really good example. Why do you think it is that you used to be able to buy a gallon of milk for what, like 5 cents for a gallon? And now it's like, I don't even know how much it is, but like $5 probably for a gallon of milk. Why do you think that is? It's not that the milk became more valuable. Milk is milk. It is what it is. But it's because the value of the dollar declined. When the value of the dollar went down, it meant that you needed more dollars to be able to buy that gallon of milk, right? That's called inflation. And every year we deal with inflation, right? So even if you have a savings account and you have money in a savings account, and even if they're paying you a little interest on that, like 1% to 2%, you may not be losing a ton of money, but you're not actually making 1% to 2% because that 1% to 2% is going to get wiped clean with inflation. So I do always recommend that people keep a little cash on hand. People get annoyed at me. I wanted to tell you guys that because people get annoyed that I say that because they're like, don't tell people to take their money out of the bank. Listen, I'm not telling you to take all your money out of the bank. What I'm telling you is that if you don't have some cash on hand, you're being irresponsible. And if you totally disregard this and you don't listen, especially if you didn't listen the first time, it's just irresponsible on your part. And you can't come back and blame other people when something happens, because at the end of the day, you're responsible for your family. Everybody's responsible for themselves. And, you know, maybe that's just my conservative mindset coming out, but I mean, we got to get more self-sufficient. We got to get back to the basics and learn how to do stuff and learn how to use our minds to propel us forward instead of make us go backwards, right? Like that's just the reality of it. So I highly recommend that you keep some cash on hand so that if something does happen, if the banks close down, if you need some money, that you have a little bit of an emergency fund. And again, I've been saying this for years because I'm a huge advocate of Dave Ramsey. There are some things he says that I don't agree with, like the next thing that I'm going to talk to you guys about. But for the most part, the man's got his head on straight, right? Like, he knows what he's talking about when he's talking about getting out of debt, getting a little cash pile saved up, and just being a little more self-sufficient so that when an emergency comes up, you don't have to stress out. It's just going to turn like a total crisis into like, okay, well, I have the money, I can just pay for that, instead of having to go out and take out a bunch of credit cards and stuff like that. So you want to pay off that debt. You want to have a little bit of cash. You don't have to deplete your whole savings account or your whole bank account, but just have several $1,000s at least in cash that if you need it, you have it. That leads me to the next thing, which is precious metals. Now, this is a big one. This is actually something that Dave Ramsey and I totally disagree on, because I also listen to a lot of very wealthy people that actually make a lot more money than Dave Ramsey does, and they are huge advocates of precious metals. I thought this was kind of crazy at first too, whenever other people that I knew kind of got into it. But the more I research and the more I learn on this topic, the more I realize that it's just irresponsible not to have some. So precious metals, what is that? Because I know some of you guys are like, you totally have no idea what I'm talking about. I've talked to so many of you that have already ordered some that, you didn't know anything about any of this, and you're just curious to know, how can I preserve my money? Like, how can I keep my money from being affected so much by inflation? And gold and silver is a really good way to do that. And the reason why is because when you look back over history, gold and silver is God's money, right? I don't know if any of you guys know who Robert Kiyosaki is, but I love him. He's the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He wrote the book Fake, Who Stole My Pension. There's tons of books that he has written that I have read over the years. He's also a very, very rich man. And one of the big investments that he puts his money into is gold and silver. And by investment, I shouldn't really say investment, because it's not something that you're putting your money into to make a lot of money like the stock market, but it's a really good way to hedge against inflation. And the reason why is because the price goes up. So over time, as the dollar goes down, the price of gold and silver will go up. And the reason that it will go up is because that's God's money, and it's been money for ever since existence. There's only a certain amount of that on the earth that God put here. There's not going to be any less. There's not going to be any more. There's just is what there is, versus the dollar, where they're over here printing money with their money machine and making more and more of it and making it worth less and less. The more of something there is, obviously, the less that it's going to become worth, right? So just logically thinking. So as far as gold and silver, you want to just have a little bit of that to kind of hedge yourself against that, because I do believe that the price of gold and silver is going to skyrocket. I think that it's going to go up a lot more from here, and it's also going to be a really good thing for you to just buy and hang on to until, your golden years, right? Like, hang on to it for your kids and stuff like that. That's going to be a really good way for you to preserve your wealth. So if you guys are interested in that, you're more than welcome to shoot me a message, and I will have a conversation with you a little bit more in detail about that. I'm also going to link above the phone number for the company that I use. One thing that I will tell you guys is you got to be careful. Don't just go buy this from anywhere off the internet. Please, Lord, do not buy it off of eBay, because you will probably be scammed. There's a lot of places out there that are selling fake silver, fake gold. It's not the real stuff. You have to be very careful with that. And so I found somewhere that I trust with my family to be able to put our money into stuff. And I will go ahead and link that above. If you actually call them and tell them that I sent you, you do have to tell them Rebecca Scott, because y'all, like, that's my real name. So you got to just say Rebecca Scott. But if you tell them that I sent you, when you call that number, they'll actually give you a free ½ ounce on your first order, which is super cool. Like, I mean, free is free. And the thing is, with silver, you can actually just get like a handful of coins. Like, anybody can afford a little bit of silver. Gold is a little more pricey. It's at about $1,700, $1,800 spot price for 1 ounce. However, silver, I mean, at like $25 an ounce, anybody can afford that. And you can start putting a little bit away at a time just to preserve your wealth. So make sure you tell them that I sent you. They'll send you a free ½ ounce of silver, and they are super good. Customer service is amazing, and they will go ahead and just ship that out to you. Make sure you get the physical stuff. So that's another big thing as far as getting prepared, is kind of something that a lot of people don't think of, and that's batteries, right? Like things like batteries and flashlights and, you know, candles, things that are really going to help you in the event that your power goes out. And again, this is not just for, you know, if something happens with the coronavirus or there's another civil war or whatever that is. This is just for every day. Like, you should always have this stuff on hand. What if your power goes out and you need batteries for a flashlight, or, you know, you have some kind of lighting that requires batteries, or you need some candles so you can see, you know, to move your way around your house and stuff. That's always a really good idea to have things like that are just extra. Even things like lighters and matches. Like, this is just simple stuff that a lot of people don't think about. What if you need to start a fire? What if it's like really, you know, for us, for example, we have a wood stove in our basement. If the power goes out and it's like freezing cold outside, I would prefer to have some heat. So I would love to have like a lighter or some matches or a torch or stuff like that, so that I can light up that wood stove and keep our house warm. There's so many different things like that you could get. You could get like paracord. That always comes in handy. Clothespins. You guys, if your power goes out, don't you want to be able to like hang your clothes up to dry? So we have like a little paracord thing around our carport that Jake actually put up for me. And this had nothing to do with even the power going out or anything. Our dryer just broke. So, you know, again, we're spoiled American brats. Like, we're just so used to being able to go in there and push a button, and this big machine, you know, tumbles our clothes and makes them all soft and dry and nice with fabric softener sheets. And you know what I'm saying? Like, you've got to get back to the basics and learn how to do stuff in case that stuff doesn't work. Because chances are something's going to come up at some point in time where you're going to need this information. So I have a paracord thing around my carport where my dryer went out, and I was having to hang dry clothes on there for a couple of weeks while I waited on the repairman to come and fix my dryer. You never know when you're going to need that stuff. So things like clothespins, paracord, like I said, lighters, candles, matches, batteries, flashlights. Flashlights also work really good for a weapon. If somebody tries to break in your house, you knock them in the face with it. I'm just kidding. I mean, I'm really not kidding, but you know, it's a good weapon. So also flashlights, you know, in order to run stuff like that, you're going to need a lot of different batteries. Make sure you're paying attention to which batteries that you need. If you need like some of the little round batteries, AAAs, AA's, there's going to be so many things that you don't even think about that you might need those for. And the cool thing about storing stuff like this, you guys, is that it's stuff that you're going to use. It's not like it's stuff that you're just buying, you know, just for prepping. Like, you're going to use this stuff. I mean, how many of you guys use batteries, right? Like, we use batteries every single day. So you're going to use the batteries that you buy, and they have an extremely long shelf life on them, right? Like, I think that I use Duracell. I'm really picky about which batteries I use, by the way, because Duracell has the longest lasting battery life. I used to think it was Energizer, but we actually have done tests that has shown that Duracell lasts longer than even Energizer. I'm also, y'all know I'm really big into like budgeting and saving money and stuff like that. So I used to kind of think, oh, I could buy these cheap batteries from the dollar store and they're probably going to be just as good, right? Wrong. And so that's the thing. You have to pay attention to certain things, because when you're buying things like food, you could be buying the store brand, and it might be exactly the same thing, even made in the same plant as a lot of the name brand stuff, but you might be saving like 50%. But when it comes to other things like batteries, they're not the same. They're not going to be created equal. So you want to make sure that you're getting something that's going to last you a good while. And the Duracell has a 10-year guaranteed shelf life on them. So, you know, that's the ones that I choose to use. I actually order mine. This is like a little side tip. I order them on Walmart.com. And they actually have these little boxes that you can buy that have like, they're like bulk boxes. I don't really remember how I looked them up. I'll try to post the link up here too for those. But they're bulk boxes and they're like super cheap. They're way cheaper than when you go to the actual Walmart store and buy them in like a 24 pack or a 16 pack or whatever. You can get them a lot cheaper the other way. So I'll share those up here too, so you guys can save money, because I always love seeing my friends save money, because that means more money you can put into stuff like precious metals, and you can take cash out, and you can be able to buy things like we're talking about in this video, like dehydrators and, you know, pressure canners and stuff like that, because you're saving money in other areas where you didn't even know that you were spending all this extra money. Okay, so going into the next topic is going to be things like laundry soap, dish soap, toothpaste, deodorant, shampoo and conditioner, body wash, hand soap, all these different things that a lot of times, you know, you maybe have like 1 or 2 bottles of that on hand, but I always suggest that you have extra of that stuff because that's stuff that you're always going to use. And for me personally, I don't know about y'all, but for me, like, I can't stand whenever I run out of something and then I'm just like, crap, I don't have any more, and then I feel like I'm rushing to the grocery store and I really didn't need anything other than that one thing. But then I go to the grocery store and I end up buying like 500 different things that I didn't even need because I went to the grocery store prematurely. I didn't need anything but that one thing, but you guys, I couldn't go in there and not just buy one thing, right? Like, that's just how I am. So I don't like to have to go to the grocery store to buy stuff like that. I prefer to keep some of that stuff on stock so that I have it. And just, you guys, again, you don't have to go crazy with this stuff. Just figure out what you need and buy one extra. I'm not telling you to go to the store and hoard a bunch of stuff, especially right now, because things are crazy. People are starting to wake up and realize that this is a huge issue, that people are not prepared, and they're all going to the store and they're buying all this stuff up and hoarding it. And this is what's causing a lot of the problem, right? Because people are just like mass buying stuff, and it's not like you just have a couple of people here and there that are buying stuff now. It's like everybody is going out all at the same time and buying stuff. It's causing a huge supply issue because there's more demand than there is supply, and it's just not good. It's not good. So don't go out and like bulk buy all of this stuff. But what I'm telling you is, if you buy one extra every single time that you go to the store, you're going to end up with a little stockpile so that if something happens, you're going to have that there. Another really cool thing that the way I feel about this is that if you are having a month where you're short on money, like let's say, for example, I know right now a lot of people have lost their jobs. They've lost incomes. Can we just pray for those people, you guys? Can we just like come together as a community and just pray for them? Because they are really struggling right now. There's a lot of people that are struggling. And unfortunately, that's just kind of the hand that they were dealt, and they're dealing with that right now. But the thing is, they may not have even enough money to pay their regular bills. So now they're really probably freaking out about buying things like laundry soap and deodorant and toothpaste, right? And we want them to still have good hygiene. So if they have that stuff on hand, they're going to be able to just, you know, have that there and ready for them in their home so that they don't have to worry about going to the store and spending an extra $100 to buy laundry detergent, toothpaste, deodorant, and shampoo, right? So I personally get all of my essentials like this from Shop Club. So if you guys want to know, you want to know. If you don't, you don't. But I save a ton of money on things that I buy all the time, every month, like all the essentials and stuff like that. But whether you buy from Shop Club or you buy from somewhere else, you can, you know, get it at Walmart or wherever. Make sure you have some of that stuff on hand, because there's gonna come a time when you're really gonna be glad that you had it. And when you're short on funds and you've got extra stuff, it always feels nice because you don't have to use that extra money for those things. Instead, you can take it and pay for things that are actual necessities right in the moment. Like if you can't afford your house payment, you now have a little extra money you could put towards that, or if you can't afford food or whatever it is. So those are always really, really good things to have on hand. So another really big thing that you want to have on hand is some medical supplies. And you guys, again, I'm not trying to sound crazy, but I'm just saying there might come a time where you can't get into the hospital, right? You might not be able to go to the doctor or whatever, and you might want to make sure that you have some medical supplies, even just simple little things like Band-Aids, sutures, gauze, like some little scissors, tweezers, antibiotic. You know, I highly recommend colloidal silver. If you guys don't have that, y'all, I'm telling you, that stuff is my jam. It works so good for so many things. It's a staple in our home. It's called colloidal silver. I'll also link that above so that you guys can have it, but we use that for so many different things. My husband got Lyme disease several years back. We used it for that. My kid got scratched in the eye by a cat and it got really infected. Used it for that. Anytime we have any kind of like sickness coming in our body, we use it for that. It's so good for so many different things. And it's also like an antiviral, so it's going to be really, really good for you to have stuff like that on hand. So I highly suggest you getting like a first aid kit, at least the basics, some medicine. If you need some medicine, I'm not big on using like pharmaceutical drugs and stuff, but I mean, I'm not going to lie, like I've got some Aleve and stuff like that on hand in case I need it. I've got some, you know, Tylenol, just little things like that. that you can have just in case. Those are going to be a really big thing, but make sure you have some gauze, some peroxide, some alcohol. Those types of things are going to come in handy for a lot of stuff. Also, aloe vera. That's a really big one. Like, you want to have some things like aloe gel, because for instance, when nobody could get hand sanitizer, I was actually able to get some from Shop Club, because thank you Lord, they were so awesome that they kept making it during a time when everybody else was out. But for the people that were out, you know, they were being able, I was like literally watching people make hand sanitizer with aloe and alcohol. So how cool is that? When you have stuff on hand like that, you can really improvise whenever you're in a time of need, and you can just do things that most people can't do because you're prepared. Toilet paper and paper towels. Paper products. You guys, this is a really big thing that a lot of people don't really think about until it comes down to the wire and they need this stuff and they can't get it on the shelves. So how wild was it that all the toilet paper and paper towels and paper products of all kinds were sold out everywhere because people were spazzing out over coronavirus? You never know when something like this is going to happen. So it's always a good idea to have this stuff on hand. And as much as people ride my case about telling people to, you know, get prepared and to have extras of this stuff on hand, I did not buy a single roll of toilet paper during the coronavirus pandemic because I already had plenty in my basement. So I didn't have to go out and buy a ton. And that speaks volumes, because even whenever you have this stuff on hand, it's nice to have it on hand so you don't have to go to the store and buy extras of this stuff every time you run out. So you've just, you know, got a couple extra things of it. And what's really cool, you guys, is you don't have to go stockpile tons and tons of this, but if you just figure out, like I said, what you need and just get one extra. Or, you know, if you only really need to buy it every other week, buy one every week. And then eventually you're going to end up with a stockpile that you've got plenty. You don't have to worry about it. And you're going to end up like me, where whenever something like this happens, you don't need to worry about it because you have a plenty. And again, like I said before, you guys, this is going to protect you against inflation. So when you buy stuff like this, it's all stuff that you're going to use anyways. It's commodities. It's stuff that you aren't going to go without. You're going to have this stuff. And that way, if there's a shortage, you have it. If there's not a shortage, you have it. If the price goes up, you have it. If the price stays the same, you have it. The price is not going to go down though. So it's a good idea to always have extras on hand. Now that said, a lot of paper products are really bad for the environment and stuff like that, because, you know, you're basically contributing to so much waste. The same thing with plastic water bottles. So what I love to do is just reuse a lot of reusable items like dish rags and sponges and drying rags instead of paper towels, stuff like that, that you can use, even like cloth napkins. If you have kids, this is a really good time to think about cloth diapers. Like, there's just so many different things that you can do that are not only going to help the environment, but they're going to help your wallet. It's not going to cost you as much money, because let's face it, paper products are expensive. So if you can use things that are reusable, that you can just throw them in the washing machine, dry them up, and just reuse them over and over again, it's going to save you a ton of money. But it's also going to be really good in times like these when you can't find stuff on the shelves, but you know, you're going to be able to have those things that you can reuse over and over again. So that's a really big one. Another thing that's a really good idea for you to have is, if you can, I know a lot of you guys are probably in, you know, developments and stuff where you're maybe not allowed to have certain things, or maybe you just don't have very much space. But if you can get some chickens, you guys, those are so good for just like eggs, meat, all kinds of stuff. You do need to make sure that you have a space for them. I can also give you guys some really cool tips on like preserving eggs and stuff like that. You can do something called water glassing, which is really cool for your eggs. This is just like a little side note. So whenever you are getting your chicken eggs, especially if you already have chickens and you're like, man, I'm getting all these eggs, I don't know what to do with them, and you can't eat them all during the summer. During the winter time, chickens will typically slow down their egg production, right? And so a lot of people will put artificial light on them, but what you can actually do is make a solution of water and pickling lime, and you can drop your eggs right down in there, and they'll literally last you for like 1 to 2 years, fresh eggs. So it's really, really cool to be able to learn stuff like that, to where you can preserve your food, and, you know, you can just learn how to be a little more self-sufficient, because at the end of the day, we all need to come together and just help each other out right now. We need to be prepared, you guys. You need to get prepared. If you're not yet, get prepared, because y'all, this wind is crazy crazy. I swear I've had so many interruptions when I'm trying to make this video, so I don't even know what this is going to turn out like. It just kind of is what it is, and you get what you get. But this is so important, and nobody really talks about it that much. And even though I've been saying this for years, you know, a lot of times people just, unfortunately, they don't pay attention because they're so used to things being the way that they are that they don't ever think that they're going to need certain skills. But this is why we struggle when things like this come up, because people just don't know how to do stuff. So get educated, learn skills on how you can become self-sufficient. Stock your pantry, get some toilet paper and paper towels, get some batteries, flashlights, guns, ammo, gold, silver. Like, you guys just be smart. And, you know, I would highly suggest that during this time that you cut out things that are costing you a ton of extra money as well, because there is going to be a second wave. There's going to be more coming. This is going to get worse before it gets better. I hate to tell you that, but it's the truth. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Y'all can save this video and you can come back and we can talk about it later and you can tell me I was right. But I'm telling you, I've been saying it and I'm going to keep saying it because I want my friends to be safe. I want my friends to be prepared. I don't want anybody to struggle and suffer, but if you can just cut down some things right now, I know it's tough. I know it's hard to go backwards and feel like you're spending up all your emergency fund, or, you know, when you lose a job, you guys, I know that stuff is so tough, but you got to just plow through it, and you've got to use this time to build your skills and to educate yourself. Like, this is a blessing. Just use this time to spend it with your family, spend time with your kids. You know, a lot of people, I feel like, are just looking at this like a total and complete curse. Like, oh my gosh, like, we can't go to work, we don't have any money and stuff like that. And listen, I get it. But also count your blessings and know how blessed we really are here, because nobody is any better than anybody else, but everybody is on a different path, and we're all eventually working towards the same goal, which is just to be better off than we were before, and just to leave other people better off than they were before they found us. So I hope that this video has helped you to just get a little bit of a better understanding of what you should be doing right now, right? Like, educate yourself, be blessed, be grateful, always have a grateful heart, because that is so important. And every successful person will tell you this. Have a grateful heart. It's the beginning of everything good. It really is. And so just enjoy this time, learn some new skills. It's really cool to be able to learn stuff like this, you guys. It's really neat to be able to pass this down to future generations so that this stuff doesn't get lost, because that's what they want. That's what the leadership wants. They want us to be as dependent on them as we possibly can. This is why, you know, again, this is another topic that a lot of people will disagree with me on, but this is why, you know, I think differently about the stimulus and all of that. Like, look, I realize that people need money right now, but if everybody would take this advice and they would get prepared and they would do what they need to do for their family, they wouldn't need that, because we're all going to pay for it. We are all going to pay for it. So take this advice, run with it, get out there and, you know, just build your, even if it's just on like a little 1/4 acre lot, just get your little homestead going and just get prepared. So I hope this helps. I love you guys. Spread the word. I will post all the links up above, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.